Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Cheney. I am the owner and CEO of a company called Delilah's Treasure, and also um, an American of African descent, as is obvious. And what it is I would like to do, and will be my first uh, attempt at it, so I should get better as I go, is I would like to share with you some information that you may find of interest concerning Africa, more specifically West Africa, and more specifically still Ghana. Over the past 2 years, I have invested in establishing a presence in Ghana, engaging uh, the continent of Africa, starting with Ghana, West Africa. The reason I started with Ghana after much research was that I found it to be the most peaceful country in Africa that I can find. I did research to see if I wanted to start with Cameroon. I looked into Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, uh, Nigeria, the Ivory Coast, and several other countries, to include Kenya, and finally settled on Ghana in in November of 2015. So, a little bit about myself. I am a 24-year retired U.S. Army veteran, and I have retired also from two other professions since retiring from the military. So now I'm a business owner and I do a lot of traveling, and I'm working now to establish a conglomerate of sorts in Ghana, West Africa. And so I started this journey by, finding out what it would take in order to be able to visit Ghana. How long could I stay? What would that authorization to go there, that is to say a visa, what would that allow me to do? What's the cost of living there? All those things. So now, a little over a year later, there's a lot of information that I have acquired as a result of my efforts to engage Ghana, and I want to share that information with individuals who also might be interested in engaging Ghana in the same way. First of all, I've looked at a lot of YouTube channels where individuals are talking about Ghana and what it takes to go there, to live there, what the cost of living is there, and all of that. But there's a lot missing from that information. For one thing, if you are Ghana diaspora, that is to say, you are the descendant of uh, Ghanaians. Your parents went abroad and you were born maybe in London or even in the United States. So that is what is considered Ghana diaspora. So if you ever decided to go back to Ghana, you could go there and obtain citizenship in about 6 weeks. It's a very quick and short process. Now, if you are of African descent and you are what we might call slave diaspora, that is to say, you don't know where your ancestors came from in order to arrive here or in order for you to arrive here, then that is not what Ghana would consider, the government of Ghana would consider Ghana diaspora. You are just a foreigner. And so, like any other foreigner of any ethnicity, there's a process that you would have to go through in order to be able to visit Ghana, to stay in Ghana for any length of time, even to be able to lease a property or to have a bank account. That requires a status other than just a visa. You can't do that on a visa. There are several ways by which an individual can obtain a long-term status in Ghana. One, of course, is you could just marry a Ghanaian. Now, that is maybe the simplest way, but that involves, you meet someone and potentially fall in love, or maybe you just broker a deal where, okay, I'm going to marry you, and this will be the benefit that you receive as a result, and then also you help me to obtain citizenship and a long-term residency in Ghana. That is a one way. Now, I'm only mentioning it because it is one way. But for many individuals, that wouldn't be acceptable because either you're already married and your ideas or your goals concerning Ghana include yourself and your spouse. So then you're looking for another way to obtain some kind of meaningful um, residency or long-term residency in Ghana. So there are several ways for you to do that. The next best thing to being a of the Ghana diaspora, which if you are not, is then to have an affiliation with a business that is established and recognized under Ghanaian law. That is to say, if it's like what we call in the U.S. an LLC, a limited liability type business, or it could be a large corporation that hires you to work there, then because of your affiliation with that agency or that company, then you will be able to um, apply for what is called residency, which is the next best thing to citizenship. Except to say that residency is something that requires an annual fee and is a substantial fee to maintain. But through your affiliation with a business, you will be able to apply for and then to receive residency in Ghana, which will allow you to lease property, to own and register a car there. You can drive there on a visa. You just get international driver's license at any AAA store if you have a driver's license here in the U.S. It costs about $20. It's very easy to do. But now driving in Ghana is not as easy as getting a license to drive in Ghana. Ghanaians are very aggressive, and they have this habit of cutting each other off, and they don't shoot at one another. It's just how you drive. So you will get cut. You have to learn how to drive aggressively, and it's fun. But in all of that, the Ghanaian people are very peaceful and a very kind people. I think the best thing about Ghana is its people. The very best thing about Ghana. I have visited 4 continents to include, Asia, Europe, Africa, of course the United States, Canada and whatnot, Central America and South America as a part of the Americas. And the most peaceful people that I have ever met are Ghanaians, the most peaceful by far. And the only thing that, and I don't mean this in a bad way or a good way. I mean it in an objective way. I never, in all of my visiting other countries, I have never until I went to Ghana, met or engaged with a culture that reminds you so much of the Bible. Never until I went to Ghana. With the names and with the customs, everything. It reminds you a whole lot of the Bible. And I think per capita, there's probably more churches in Ghana than I know for a fact, than any other place I ever been in my lifetime. But just to get back to Ghana itself and what it takes for an individual to visit, you have to go to the Ghana Embassy website, download an application, and fill it out. That application is going to require you to demonstrate that you already have a round-trip ticket, you know somebody in Ghana, and you know where you're going to stay in Ghana, and you got a contact phone number in Ghana. So that's a lot if you've never been to Ghana before, but that is what the application requires. So you fill it out, you send it in, and you request that it be expedited. So you send it overnight FedEx is what they require. You put a $200 cashier's check in the envelope made out to the Embassy of Ghana, and you will get that back done within 5 days if there's no reason for them not to give it to you. A non-expedited application is $100, but I don't know how long it would take for you to get that back. And you also have to send them a return envelope already paid for so they can send back your passport, because you have to send your passport with the application and 2 passport size photos. So like I said, you already got to have purchased a round trip ticket, because it's asking you for the ticket number and a round trip ticket number. And so you want a multi-entry visa. That's a good one to get, 2-year multi-entry visa. And then before you travel, you have to go to what is called travel clinic. And there are 2 particular inoculations you need to get. Most importantly is yellow fever. You got to have that one to get into the country. You have to have proof of it with your passport. Typhoid is another one that's good for you to go ahead and get. But the yellow fever, you got to get that one if you want to get into the country. And also, while you're at that doctor's visit, you want to get a prescription for malaria medication, malaria prevention medication, and you want to start taking it before you go and take it for about a week after you get back, because you can contract malaria from the mosquito bites. Now, I will tell you, though, that the best mosquito repellent for you to have in Ghana is that they sell in Ghana. Rather than, you going to Walmart and buying all the good stuff they got there. No. What works best is what they're using over there. And it's not that bad. Some of it come in creams and all of that. And even the spray that they use to spray to keep the mosquitoes down, it works real well. So you're there. And here's what I want to say, to emphasize, especially this time around.